today we are going to be doing a fairly unique build of the Ender 3 Pro um, from Creality. Um, I have posted videos in the past of various 3D printing expeditions. This one is going to be probably the most difficult one that I've posted so far, as well as there's going to be a lot of learning involved because there's going to be customizations that we are going to be doing on the fly as we build this printer, just to really um, get it to where I want it to be. And this is the only one that I have that I haven't built yet out of my collection of 3D printers. So we're looking to really um, get it built, dialed in, um, and customized. We're going to be putting some customizations on the bed itself, hot ends, bed leveling, probes, all sorts of good stuff coming up as we go through this journey. So if you're watching live, thanks for joining. There's a couple of house cleaning things I got to do here, and then we'll kind of get started with the build. There's a couple of different guides that I'll be using throughout this. Um, one of the one of the best guides that I've seen so far for building Ender 3s has been over on the Chep channel. If you don't follow him, go follow him. He has excellent 3D printing tips and tricks, and build guides and things like that, and really great stuff to help you get on your feet with 3D printing. And then there's another site I'll be using, all3dp.com, and you'll see me looking at I have a monitor over here with some of the guide information, the chat video for some of the things. I don't have this fully memorized yet. I've only built 3 of these so far, so this will be my 4th one. So it takes a while to ingrain it into the memory. So let me do some housekeeping stuff, make sure the stream is working properly, and then we will be on our merry way. Give me one moment. Let's check the chat. Give me a moment here. All right, looks like things are working. Excellent. Great. So get some of these things out of the way here. Make sure Twitch is working, because that seems to give me a problem sometimes when I go live. There we go. Good. We are working. Perfect. Copy. I'll share this here. All right. I do want to take a quick moment here. I'm filming this on Memorial Day. I just want to take a moment to say thank you to all of those who we have lost in service for the freedoms that we have here in the U.S. So to the military and service people who served, thank you for the sacrifice that you have given so that we may continue to enjoy the freedoms that we have here today. Thank you. We cannot thank you enough. We should never forget the sacrifices that have been made for where we are today. Um, so let's move right along here. And the very first thing that I'm going to do on here is we're going to flip this buddy on its side. And I had previously 3D printed some custom knobs, as you can see here. So they have a device that goes in the center of the knob, and this has a little bit of a, it's going to be difficult to see, but a little bit of a nub sticking out there, and then it's geared on the inside. And these are clicky knobs. And I will try to post links to all of the things, the customizations, in the descriptions once the video is completed. I'll try to update that so that way if you're interested, you can go and test out some of these customizations yourself. But we're going to replace those knobs. And with any Ender 3 build, I also like to make sure I put the, these nice springs on, as the stock springs just really don't seem to hold up very well over time. My first Ender 3 that I built, not quite sure what happened, but the springs really lost their springiness after a couple of months, and I was very disappointed. So first thing we do is we'll flip this over here, and we will take off all the knobs. I might do this with this setting on its side here. So I had these go in the right direction earlier. I think this is the way. Yeah, this is the way. Okay. Always forget which way because it's like opposite when it's underneath. I know everybody says lefty loosey, righty tighty, but it doesn't always apply here. So now, a lot of people like to throw these knobs away, but I like to keep them because you never know if you need a replacement at any given time. Something happens to the printer. It's just good to have a extra set of knobs on hand. So we'll set those aside for now, and we're going to only do 2 at a time. I've done this the hard way in the past, where I've done all 4 at one shot, and then things don't like to line up properly. So at least I have a little bit of leeway here when I just do 2 at a time, and save these springs. While they're not the best, in an emergency situation, if you have an issue with keeping your bed level or your springs not working properly, always good to keep your spare parts around. Absolutely. I don't really suggest throwing anything away that you replace, unless it's broken. But if a lot of these parts could be potentially reusable again, so we don't want to discredit that at all. So let me get the other spring here. The table looks like an absolute mess. I was trying to figure out the best way to organize myself in putting this together, and I just couldn't get it perfect. So you will see how I work in general, which is organized chaos. Okay, so that one's in. One in. Let's get this other guy here. Not quite in. There we go. Okay. Now they're in. Now, these guys only go on really one direction. There are 2 of each, so have to figure out which way they fit best on these brackets here. Yeah, I think that one goes on there best. There's definitely some adjustments that'll have to be made once you get these on. So we're going to flip it on its side now. Once these are on, we can worry about tightening the one nut down there to get it to this is a little bit more difficult than I thought it was going to be. I don't really put too much pressure on the bed here. One thing I do suggest, when you're in the middle of building, take the, if you have a magnetic build plate, take it off. You never know. You don't want to gouge it or anything like that. You want to keep that as pristine as possible. So there we go. That is being really difficult today. Why are you being so difficult? It's hard to hold down too. So of course I would pick the hard way to do this, wouldn't I? Okay. Let's see here. Oh, I have it. Oh, almost had it. There we go. All right. All right. We got it on there. You can kind of hear the clicking, so that's good. All right. Let's get the other side. That one seems to stick out a little bit more. I don't know. It might be because I have some of these others off here as well. So we'll try and find the right side to put on here. That should do it. Okay. There we go. I think we got it there. Good. Just tighten that down just a bit. And these will come in handy when you're leveling your bed, is you'll be able to feel the number of clicks that you use when leveling, as opposed to having the vibration, undo your work, your hard work of getting the bed leveled. So let's see here. Let's do the back side here. Get these off. We'll put them on. Yeah, unfortunately, I had a technical malfunction shortly before streaming. Realized that my headset was not properly, it wasn't charged. So we are having to do this today. Have them plugged in here for a little while we're going through this process. There we go. Get those out of here. You want to be careful on the right hand side here because you have the heated bed connectors there. So I like to do that one first just to make sure it's good and lined up as best as we can get it. Ooh, never had that happen before. I'll have to put that back on there. Okay, so we got 2 more springs. Good, we can put those in our nice little baggie here and save them for later. All right. All right, our next corner bracket here. Is that the right way? So you go this way. Let's go this way. I think that side's going to be a little bit more difficult. Let's put this guy on first. Print on these was a little tighter than I had anticipated. That's all right. By the way, all of the parts that I'm using here today were printed using Amazon Basics PETG filament. Really like the filament. I like PETG. I've had pretty good luck printing with it, so I'd like to continue to use it if possible. Definitely recommend. Okay. This is our last one for here. This one is not one to fit today. Not quite. There we go. That should work. Please don't tell me I got too much super glue in there. There we go. All right. Okay. So just that little bit of tactile feel will help greatly when leveling the bed. So that was upgrade number 1. like I said, learning process today. Lots of learning to be done as we go through this. So next thing I want to do before we get too deep into this is grab a sip of water, flavored water. And what I have is this Creality Spider hot end. And since we're going to be turning this also into a direct drive unit, there is a part I'm waiting for. Hopefully it gets delivered shortly today. But I have this Creality Spider hot end here, as you can see, that hoping to go into better hot end. When you do direct drive, they recommend upgrading your hot end. Also, if you plan on printing with a lot of PETG, they also recommend upgrading your hot end as well. Looks like they have some cables here for it. It's got the thermistor on there. Perfect. So comes with everything you need. You just got to get the parts out here. Always the tough part, isn't it? They say that you shouldn't build stuff live. It's kind of like baking live, isn't it? You ever watch Food Network and they're like, oh yeah, and we have one already done in the oven for you, because you never know how it's really going to turn out during that live session. But I'm going to ignore those. Ignore that. Ooh, they give you an extra hot end. That's really nice. So extra all metal nozzle. Perfect. How does that look? That looks a lot better than the stock one, that's for sure. So there is already a nozzle on here, and this piece here, I'm not entirely sure where that goes right off the top of my head. Look at the destructions here. Always RTFM. I have the regular build instructions here with me, as well as the video guides that I'll be using once we get to actually putting this all together. So yeah, and if you don't know what RTFM means, you can Google that. Yeah. That tells you how to level it. We want to put it together, and it doesn't really tell you. So work on this here on this side. I know it's going to be a little difficult to see, unfortunately. Let's see if I can do it on top here. I just want to gouge this magnetic piece here too much. So there are 2 screws here to take off, as well as 2 from the fan. I don't know if I'll need to take all 4 of them off or not, or if I'll even need to take, I'm not sure yet. I may not need to take all of those off, so this might just come off as is. We're going to take it off and take a look. Let's get in here with our appropriate tools. What I tend to do sometimes also is, as long as everything fits correctly, I will, unless it's broken, I will use the existing hardware that came with the printer. For example, the next upgrade we will be doing is all metal extruder motor. So I'm replacing the stock plastic. Again, my first Ender 3 that I built, I was printing pretty awesome, and all of a sudden, like, filament wasn't coming out at a constant rate. I'm trying to figure out, well, why is it skipping? Why am I having all these problems? Come to find out that the plastic piece here had broken just from changing filament in and out, just the stress of pushing on it. So I was like, well, that's no bueno. So rushed to Amazon to get a replacement. So that's what we did. If you notice, I'm doing a lot of the upgrades first, just so that they're done. Make sure everything fits correctly, and then we can continue with the actual build of getting the PC, or the not the PC. I've built so many PCs, my brain's on autopilot. Getting the 3D printer put together. So, um, yep. Uh, Thanks, Goosetronic, for joining the chat. Yes, these are 3D printed clicky knobs that I have talked about previously that I just installed. They were a little tricky to get installed, especially with those higher compression springs. Definitely, definitely challenges there. Okay, so as I take this apart, there's definitely some things to keep an eye out for. So I don't need to take the screws off of the fan or anything like that. But there are some pieces on the hot end that we're going to remove. Um, Always keep your silicone boot, very important, on your hot end there. And now the top part, I think, is going to be getting some of these components. Oh, there's a nice little set screw there, perfect, for the actual heating element. So this is the heating element. Take that out first. And that slides. You can see that slides right out, just like that. As you can see. I know it's very difficult to see, but this is the heating element here. It slides right out of this little, really, slides right out of this little hole here. The next piece, we actually need what looks like a Phillips head screwdriver. Good thing that the um, toolkit that comes with it, oh, that comes with a flathead, but I made sure to go ahead and do some prep and make sure I had some extra tools with me so that I could make sure that I could complete this successfully. So let's get the screwdriver handy. Okay, so let's make sure we can get that out. Well, that unscrews. Ooh. I'm nervous about that. There's definitely some thin wires going in there, so just be very careful. Okay, and that looks like that was the thermistor. Ooh, that is so tiny compared to the other one. Oh my. We might have to be doing some rewiring here. We do have that apart, so keep all my screws handy off to the side here. I know you really can't see it on the camera. I'm using some ad hoc equipment for filming today. I did not prepare very well for this. What can I say? And then these last two screws here actually holding the hot end to the bracket itself. Just very carefully take those out here. For anyone who's in the chat, can you all hear me okay? So make sure I'm broadcasting out onto the airwaves and not looking like a complete doof. So, I don't know if y'all can hear the music in the background. I just have some little bit of background music playing. Okay, so we got it apart. Here's our bracket here, and here's our hot end. So we'll just take this out. There we go. So we will definitely stash this away for safekeeping, just in case we ever need it again. I think this guy. Yeah, I think this guy is potentially going to have to get fed through, and we're going to have to get into the board here, but we'll do that here in a little bit. Let's get it actually installed first. Now again, have the silicone boot. We will put that back on once we are completed. And I'm just going to go in here and make sure that everything is nice and tight. So what's nice is you don't need a big wrench like this. You will definitely break things if you try to use tools other than what they give you, because they really are the perfect size. So just for making sure that the hot end, the nozzle, is on tight, we'll just give it a little bit of a tug there. Don't need to go too hard. Okay, there we go. And the other thing too is we can take this spacer off for now. We probably won't be using this since we're going to a direct drive upgrade, but keep it handy. You never know if you need to go back to the old Bowden way of feeding your filament, then that's what you'll use. So okay, so now one thing to take note of: this is just a bit longer than your stock hot end. So when you go to do your printer setup for the first time, be very careful because this may dig into the build plate. So you're going to want to probably install your ZN stop up a little higher. I do have the auto bed leveling probe, but we'll still need to use the ZN stop initially until I can load the firmware that recognizes that the auto bed leveling probe has been installed. We are going to install the hardware piece of it as we go through here because there's a lot to do. And actually, before I put this on, there's one more upgrade to do yet, and that is part of the um, direct drive. So this is the bracket that's going to hold the E axis, the feeder motor is going to go straight into this nicely 3D printed bracket here. So that'll be going there, and that goes on this bracket here. So you want to make sure that that the piece here where the zip ties can go through, make sure that that's facing outwards, so that way you can feed your zip ties through it. I'm going through there. These camera angles are horrible, I know, but you can see here. So let's get in there with our tools. So all the tools we need here. Oh, that's too big. All right, so we're gonna take these off here, actually. Ooh, gonna have to hold that with the wrench. Need like 4 hands or something like that. I feel like that would make this so much easier. Thing to keep in mind when you do upgrades like this, as you can see, there's metal spacers in here. Those are going to come out because we're going to replace them with the thickness of the bracket. So we won't need those spacers in there anymore to ensure that they, that it glides properly. Now I'm going to use these to hold this in place. Again, not a lot of force. It's just to hold it in place so I can complete the removal of the screw here. And I know people are probably going to go crazy saying, you did all these upgrades at once. Why didn't you just one at a time or wait till after it was built? Well, I didn't want to build the whole printer and then have to take probably half to 3/4 of it apart again right away just to do the upgrades. I feel like that would have taken more time, with all the wires in the way and stuff like that. Yeah, it would probably faster to a finished product where the printer would actually be running. That's for sure. But I also feel like I just didn't want to spend the time later doing those upgrades, so I'm just going to try and put it all in one video. Hopes to learn, learn from myself, and maybe others will learn as well as we go through this process. So let's just make sure we do this correctly here. So we have our bracket. That is going to slide right on there. Oh, what's happening? That is not. Uh-oh. Did that not print correctly? Oh, maybe I still do need the spacers. Oh wait, hang on a second. Nope, I know exactly what I need to do. When you're putting this together, keep in mind, your 3D prints, so there's a nice little groove in here. Let's see if we can get you to see this groove here. That slides right on your bracket. So this is going to be held in real nice and tight and snug. No chance for moving around or being loose or anything like that. Which is perfect. Excellent. Okay. I was concerned about that for a minute. So, now, will we still need spacers? Maybe. Is there room for them? Nope. No room for the spacers. So, which is, I am slightly concerned about that. Just for the wheels turning, but I think they'll turn all right. So, okay, let's get the other wheel on here. Locking nut. And I'm just hand tightening these to start. Use Leatherman here to hold it. Again, I'm just gently holding these in place so I can use the actual tools that came with the printer to do this. Creality does sell a toolkit, which I do like a lot. It's got a ratcheting end on it. You can have up to 3 bits on it at once, but I did not bring that with me today, unfortunately. So that's slightly problematic now, isn't it? Oops. You don't want this to be too loose. Just making sure I didn't miss any messages. So doing lots of experiments here with the streaming. So I also should mention I am not a handyman, so using pliers and wrenches and things like that, not my forte. Steady hands, not my thing. Doesn't keep me from trying though. Let me try with those spacers in there. I'm not sure if that nut is going to fit on there, but I am concerned about the ability for the wheel to spin freely. So I do want to try and put that on there with the wheel, and hopefully, is there gonna be enough on there for it to even grip? Probably not. Ooh, it's looking a little rough. I don't think it's quite gripping. Slightly concerning. Just double check something real quick here. Is this the same size? It is not the same size. Ooh. And I didn't heat this up or anything, so the size should not have decreased at all. But it is a little on the short side. I don't think I have any additional washers. Again, said this was going to be a learning experience as we went along, so definitely lots to learn here. So let's see what we can accomplish. I have to go back and make some adjustments. I can always do that, right? Now it's on there nice and snug. The other thing too to keep in mind when you're tightening things like this, you do want it to be snug. You don't want to over tighten. There's going to be lots of places in here where it's metal on metal. Over tightening can very easily strip the threads on your bolts, and that's never a good day. Always a bad day. So I'm going to get this a little snug, but I want it to sort of be able to uh, move freely. Okay, so there's. I think we should be okay. We'll just loosen that up just a little bit. There. Should hopefully be enough. There. So I can still feel some tension, but it moves pretty well. Just a little bit more here. Very minor adjustments. There we go. That feels a lot better. It's snug. So hopefully that lines up enough when we put it on the x-axis that goes the way we want it to. So we just need our other locking nut here with our wheel. Just hold that in place like that. Again, very gently pulling that into place. Not over tightening anything. If this is successful, I may perform this mod on my other printers. But this is definitely much experimenting happening here. And just tighten it up just a little bit. Okay, so those are moving pretty freely now. That should work out well. Perfect. Okay, so now we can get our new hot end installed here. This is the original piece there. So let's get our new hot end. Now the big thing, this does look, yep, so I was going to try to use the stock hardware. As you can see, the screw is on the top, but it does not go all the way through. Just barely doesn't make it. So that will have to stay with the stock hot end, I'm afraid. We'll have to use these new bolts that came with it. Now, one thing to take note, in the original hot end, there was one tiny set screw that was there holding the thermistor in place. This has two holes. Those two smaller holes are for holding in both the thermistor and the heating element. So, actually, I'm sorry, it was holding the heating element in place. So, just keep that in mind as you build these. That goes through pretty nice. Okay. And again, when you're tightening this stuff, wait to tighten until you're sure everything is lined up. And there's some other components on here that we're going to put on before we put our cap back on here. Okay. So I have it just snug. I don't even have it tightened at all. Just snug. Hold this in place while we put in the remaining pieces. So this thermistor, that's not going to work here. And there's a couple other elements that we're going to be pulling out as well, since this is going to be direct drive. So let's get our actual thermistor in place there. I don't have my yellow heated tape with me, unfortunately, or heat protective tape with me. That is with some of my other electronic stuff, but cool. Okay, so that is now in there. And since this, yeah, so, okay. So since this is a much longer and has longer cabling going to it, there is no need for that little tiny screw that was holding it in before, this little flathead jobby. So we'll put that away as well. That's where these tiny set screws come into play. And we're going to use, let's see if our existing one fits in there. Be very careful with the small parts. Don't want to lose them, right? Okay, there we go. Having a thermistor in here is very important. It helps to tell the printer itself what the temperature is of the hot end. I'm just gonna make it just snug, not too tight, just snug, just so it doesn't pull out. That's the most important thing there. And also, if you have the most up-to-date Marlin firmware, you can help stop, prevent fire from happening. If it were to get, overly hot for any reason, stuck, program malfunction. Okay, yep, and very careful to try to get one of these tiny set screws out of here. Holy cow. Whew. Super tiny. Let's get the other one in here. Hold that heating element in place. Glad that they use the same size set screws for this hot end. Means I have one left over that I can use in the future if I need to, for any reason. And again, just snug. Doesn't need to be super tight. Now there is some extra wire in here. Probably don't want that touching. I'm just going to try and bend that out of the way for now. Let's take a look and see here. Yeah, there's our heat protective tape. Now, we do have this extra cabling here, and this is going to go into the same area where on the board where our old thermistor was plugged in. So we'll have to follow that cable a little later. But that'll be coming right out of the little shroud here. Why is it every time I say that word? I play way too much Final Fantasy. Black Shroud, right? Be very careful with this. You don't want to. I may want to bunch this back up a little bit here. Put the twist tie back on. Just to kind of keep it out of the way for the time being. We'll get to wiring that a little later. Okay, let's safely put this back together. Ah, but not yet. And why, you might ask? Two things. One, there's still an upgrade to put on. And two, I did not put on the boot. Always want your silicone boot on here. It's going to really protect things. And the other thing that it doesn't just protect, um, it also helps to prevent um, filament from clogging, getting stuck to the hot end. Um, I know I've had it happen to me several times. I've seen it happen to other people where filament just really gets um, stuck up on the hot end there. Actually, you know what? Maybe we can. Ooh, this chair is not very comfortable sometimes. Okay, so but sometimes. Let's see here. Let's see if we can use this tape to wrap up our piece here. I really hate to see that get melted and burned if I need to use it in the future for any reason, or if everything that happens today turns out to be a fail. Which, I mean, I'm hoping it doesn't. I'm hoping this is successful at the end of the day, but we definitely want to get that out of there. I'm not sure the best way to do that. I don't want to really use any of the other zip ties, although they did give me quite a lot. But I am going to probably need to reuse those at some point. So we'll see how it goes. Make sure I can just keep this out of the way as best I can. And let's get our next piece, which is the CR Touch Auto Bed Leveling Probe. So I've used both the CR Touch and the BL Touch. I feel like they perform pretty much the same way. One thing I do like about the CR Touch a bit better is it does have a metal piece for probing as opposed to plastic. Um, see here, which one of these do we need? Ah, this is the one. Okay, perfect. So, and this we can use the stock hardware on, so we'll be good here. But yep, all we have to do is get this. There we go. Set up just like that. Ooh, hang on. Ooh, oh, that's interesting. That lip that comes down. Oh, it's in the way. No, that can't be. Well, hang on a second here. I am having a little bit of trouble with this new hot end and the wiring harnesses here. So hang on. I feel like it's touching quite a bit. It's sticking out so much on that side. Just that extra wiring? No. Okay. Yeah, so this is going to be a little bit of a tight fit. So I think we can get it, but it's going to be. Actually, we might need to move this guy up a little bit. Oh, for some reason. Let's see if we can get at least one of these guys in here. these are. It's very. This is a little challenging. Oof. All right, let's see here. Lining all this stuff up. Just does not want to. Just does not want to line up appropriately. All right, let's think here for a minute. Even without the bracket on, it does not want to align correctly here. So something's not right. Let's take a look back in here and see what's happening. That hasn't changed. How much wider is that? Ooh, that is significantly wider. So while the holes line up, this hot end is significantly wider. Just making sure I keep the silicone boot with its original hot end, just so we have it there. I wonder if I did not see what this was for. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Well, there's part of our direct drive that we're going to need. Great. We've just fixed that a little bit. We need the larger wrench for that. Get that snug in there. Cool. Okay. Now, let's see about getting these wires in here. Additional wires. Let's take a look at the manual for this thing real quick. See if there's any instructions or tips or tricks. Oh, apparently I need to print an appropriate fan cover. Well, bugger. All right. Well, lessons learned, right? So we will be reserving this upgrade for another day. Let's go ahead and put the original hot end back in here. It's highly unfortunate. The good news is that we only have to take the heating element out. We don't have to take out the thermistor. We'll just leave that in there, keeping the box safe until next time. I may have to do that upgrade on my own. Don't know if I'm going to film it or not, but yeah, there's definitely a piece to print. So here we have the original hot end again. We are going to need that flat-headed screw. Perfect. Lessons learned. Don't worry, we'll be keeping all of the hardware together for this hot end. I am definitely anxious to put it on here. Maybe that can be one of the prints that I do this week. Is get the fan cover for that put together. So let's make sure we get that boot back on there. Well, there's good news and bad news to all this. The good news is that for now, hopefully, I can put my bed leveling probe on here because I would really prefer to use that if possible. Might set up a temporary Octoprint server to put that on. So, okay, so let's take a look here. So, yep, that's going to go on the outside. That's going on the inside. Okay. Put that in here. Get our flat screw. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong spot. And again, you don't want it to be too tight, just barely snug. Just snug. Yep. We'll put our heating element back in here. There we go. One, two. Oh, I still need that set screw. I put it in the bag. I think I'm learning right now that the part I don't like the most is the hot end, just because of dealing with the set screws. Okay, so let's get this back in here. Again, snug, not over tight. Now we need our original bolts here. Trick I always learned was when trying to line screws up and make sure that you don't cross thread, always go counterclockwise first so you hear a click or feel a click, and then you should be lined up and ready to finish putting your bolt in. And yep, that's nice and tight. Nice and tight. The hammer method, I've thought about that sometimes, but really what it comes down to is that only works on lawnmowers. Smack them with a hammer a few times, and then they just start working for whatever reason. I don't know what the science behind it is, but, you know, lawnmowers is where it's at for that, for sure. Okay, this feels like it's going to line up much better. Good. So we definitely want to put our, um, oh, can't forget our booty. And if you're having trouble figuring out where the front is, there is it's very difficult to see, but there's a black CR sort of logo on the front. That's where front is. Hey man, you know, tell me tell me a 3D printer that the hammer worked on, and film it, and then maybe we'll see if your theory is correct. I'm not convinced I want to take a hammer to my slightly expensive piece of equipment here. You know what I mean? So let's get these lined up here so we can put this bracket back on. The cool thing is I definitely took advantage of the lovely sale that Micro Center was having for these Ender 3 Pros. Um, and while there's all kinds of like reviews and stuff like that out there for 3D printers, what's the best of the best and who does what. I feel like if you dial in your settings correctly, now there are physical limitations. Yes, there are definitely physical limitations to the 3D printer itself, for sure. But I'm gonna say, another life lesson here. Have to put this bracket on before you put on the bed leveling probe, as it should cover both. So that did not go as planned. But I feel like the Ender series sometimes it's a good entry level, absolutely. Does it hold your hand? Maybe not as much as some of the higher end printers, but again, keep in mind some of those can be a little bit more for more than just uh, hobbyist builds. You can do some pretty high end stuff on that. But I think these are great little printers for getting started, learning sort of the ins and outs of your printer. If you have to get in and edit G code or compile your own firmware, things like that. Um, there are others out there that just work, and that's fine. I am a tinkerer, if you haven't noticed already by just watching this video. I like to take things apart and put them back together again, even if it means pain. So right now, definitely experiencing pain, and not in the physical sense. Oh crap, I do have to take the hot end off. Oh man, definite pain today, guys. Well, although sometimes we're nice enough to have other creators or friends out there who like to experience the pain first, so we can help others to not experience so much pain. So, all right, man, take care. Thanks for joining. So let's get this last guy off again. See if we can sneak this bracket on there. Hopefully. I'm hoping this works. I'm not sure. Hang on a second. Is there another bracket I might be missing for the bed leveling? Let's just take a look here and see what I'd be missing. Nope, I don't think that's going to work. Put this other one here. Hang on a second. Hmm. Interesting. This one looks adjustable. So I don't think this guy's gonna fit in here. I know I should finish taking that off first. Ooh, I'm losing almost my bolts. Let me finish one thing at a time. So it happens, my brain goes in a million different directions. Let's take a look here. So I put this on here where it would normally go. Let me try to put this bracket on. Is that going to fit? Hmm. Trying to just trying to see if I can get the holes to line up at all with this bracket on here. That's really going to be the tough part. So maybe, I know for now, again, learning experience, we're testing. Take a look here. Okay, so that is there. Make sure this top part is flat. Flush against, okay. Nope, that is not going to work. Oof, okay. So we're going to not use this particular bracket, I don't think. I think we're going to have to use a different bracket. Which, I mean, I'm glad it comes with like 3 brackets, so that's definitely a plus there. May need to adjust that a little bit. I don't know. Or just sand that piece off. But it looks like it's pretty well built in there. You may not be able to do that so easily. So if we use the straight up and down one, we can definitely figure out which one we need to use for the bed leveling probe here to see which one it lines up with best. And we can attach it that way. So definitely more than one way to do this. I feel like we haven't gotten very far, but hey, we're learning, right? Learning as we go. I have to re-snug these all properly again. Oh no. After this, we get the hot input on and we should be able to move forward. So thanks everyone for bearing with me. I appreciate it. There we go. I know others may find this anxiety inducing or stress inducing. Um, this problem solving, I think this is a lot of fun. I'm weird, what can I say? That's definitely too loose. I'm gonna tighten that back up there. Okay, let's see what we got. let's get the other one on, and then we'll snug them in together. So. Okay. So there's one more thing I want to do here quick. There we go. So I had to send a quick message, see if anybody else wanted to join in here and chat along. I already feel right off the bat that that was too tight, but that's fine. We'll loosen it up and see what we get here. One thing to keep in mind um, is that, especially on these various parts here, this nut here is going to help align everything. So even if these are a little snug or not in perfect alignment, when you're putting them on the track, um, that'll help adjust some of that alignment, so we can make sure that it's smooth running. This side still feels a little loose yet. There we go. Nice and snug, but still sort of free moving. Let's just give it just a little bit more. There, good. Nice snug still, not going to move around. And then we can always, get back in there again if we have to, and really just kind of, once we get this dialed in with this special nut here for the alignment. Sorry, I don't know the proper term for it. Anybody else out there does, feel free to let me know. I'm sure I'll find out once I start watching Mr. Chep here off to my right to ensure that I do the best possible, have the best possible build outcome here on the printer. So, okay, so let's get our hot end reattached. Oh. Again, always go in the opposite direction first. You hear a click. You should be safe to go without stripping any of the bolts. Not doing a strip show today, that's for sure. All right, so now what do is put top bolt back on for the fan assembly. Good. Lined up. Definitely difficult there with the overhang, but we got it. All right, now our other bracket here. Let's see, where would this have lined up at if we did put it on? So that would be, that was going to be up pretty high. So can we fit it up on the second part there? feel like our Z offset's going to be pretty high if we try to do that. Ooh. Let's see what we can do here. What can we accomplish? Oh no. Hang on. This bracket actually has to go on. Ah, can't win today. This has to go underneath. It's fine. We'll get it figured out. We'll get it figured out. Let's loosen this up a little bit up top here. Challenges. Let's see here. What's up with this other bracket? What am I missing for this guy? Can I get it to work? Don't think that's gonna work either because I can't have any of these really that straight. Even if I put that up higher, it's still just gonna hang down low enough when it probes out. Oh, that might work. Okay. I think we got something here. Good. Whew. Lucky. Okay, let's tighten up this other. I wish I had. I don't have it yet, but eventually I'd like to get some type of like overhead camera. Ooh, I feel like the lighting just kind of went down a little bit. I'll be right back. Let me go fix the lighting situation. All right. Looks like we got some better lighting in here. All right. I'm not going to futz with that right now. Let's get these put back together. Let's see if this lined up perfectly here. Okay, now we should be, we didn't get that far yet. There's a set of screws plus another cable, obviously. We'll set this guy aside for now. Plus the parts that we didn't use, we'll set those out of the way. And we should be able to put this guy there. Oh, we got some extra zip ties. We'll set those over here for now. The rest of my zip ties. Those will be for setting up those screws. Okay. Alrighty. See, one other thing to take a look at on the monitor over here. I'm curious. See if it's actually going to my page or not. I should have it is working. Okay, cool. Hey, there we go. We got some people here. See, I wasn't able to monitor the Facebook chat, so okay. So now we will get the probe put on. Always want to make sure that the Creality piece and the Creality lettering. It's probably hard to see with the lighting. Always want to make sure that that's facing out. If you're ever having trouble, QR code faces the inside. Always a good way to tell there. I'll just lift this guy up here. Oh. This modification has really presented me some challenges. Oof. All right. All right. That's fine. We'll just work through them as we always do. And we'll all right. It's gonna take a little bit of time to get through here because the overhang of the bracket now sticks out. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. I did that the last time I put one of these on. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's actually not that difficult. I made it harder than it needs to be. Story of my life. It's oh, it's a better way to interact here with the browser. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Oops. Oh, interesting. I did not see. Because I should be able to see Facebook comments. I just may not be able to physically reply to them. Okay, yeah, read only, but I can audibly reply to Facebook comments. Okay, good. I was concerned that I may not be able to see Facebook comments, but I will try and keep them up here. best I can. And reply as best I can as I see them coming in. So. All right, let's get this thing put on correctly. Easiest way to do this, flip this upside down. Get it put in. Okay. I don't always make this harder on myself than I need to. There we go. Most important thing when you're installing a bed leveling probe is to make sure that when the probe is out, that it extends past where your hot end is. If it doesn't do that, you're gonna have a hard time because it's not gonna actually hit. It's not gonna hit the bed appropriately. But the other important part too is that when it retracts, you definitely want it to be shorter than where the um, nozzle is. Because if it's not, then you will end up dragging it across your prints, causing mass chaos and destruction. That's a bad day for a guy who likes to 3D print. Let's take a look here. There we go. There we got it. Okay. Oh, that's not. I thought I had it. I hit the not lined up yet. Okay, this gets to be a little tricky. Oh. This side might be a little tighter, I think. Okay. There we go. So let's get. Ooh. That's a little rough. There you go. I just needed a break through the way it looks. Nice and snug. Not overly tight. Nice and snug. There we go. Okay. So, got our bed level probe on there. Let's see here. We might be coming back to that later. Okay. So we got our bed leveling knobs in here. We got our hot end. We got our bracket done. I think that's it for the mods for now. We should be able to proceed with the actual building of the printer itself. One of the first things that the CHEP channel likes to have us do is there are these special nuts. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it here. But they're only on one side usually. And that's to help make sure that there's no play. Also ensure that there's smooth movement for your moving parts. So just want to kind of move them, tighten them till you feel snug. And actually, in this particular case, going to the left actually tightens it. Go to the right, that will loosen it. So just keep that in mind. And little adjustments at a time should be all that you need. It really dialed in there. Yep, so good. No movement in the bed at all that way. And it just moves smooth back and forth. Good. Okay. So now we can get to, I think, some of the fun parts. So let's flip this guy. Oh, my headset's not liking. Did I pull that out? It might yell at me once in a while. Okay. So now let's take a look here and see what our Filament Friday man has to say. So I don't really want to steal his thunder over at the Chep channel, but I do really enjoy his guides. Feel free to go over and subscribe to him, support him. He does excellent work. He provides a lot of stuff free to the community for getting your beds leveled. He does have some utilities that you can purchase from his store and subscribe to his Patreon as well for additional models and hardware and stuff like that. So it looks like the first thing to do here is we're going to flip this guy up on its side. And notice all my cables and my axis are coming out the back. And that's exactly how he has it here. Oops. So flip it up on its side. And we're going to get our first piece to put on. So there are two of these larger pieces, like this. So one of them will have two holes, like this. That is going to be for the power supply, so we don't need that one just yet. So we'll get this guy here first. And these two holes, yep, they should be at the bottom. So the other thing to keep in mind too when you're doing this is stay. Nope, that ain't gonna stay. I have all my parts accounted for here. So as you go through the parts, just always take inventory before you start your build. I think if you do that, you'll have better success in the long term, for sure. So try to get some of the excess stuff out of here that's not needed. Put that out of the way. Forget which ones came out. We'll just put those up there for now. We have all the parts we need over here. Okay. Let's open up these are the M5s. So what we'll do, always do tighten, get them started by hand first. And then you can go in with the Allen wrench later. Get them snug. One of the other things, I don't have a square quite the same as what he does over on his channel, but I do have a little bit of a type of square here that I will use to try and get this to be as square as possible, because when you're printing, the accuracy of your angles is sort of the most important thing. There you go. That's where the big one comes into play. So we'll get it till it's almost snug, and then we'll get the square in here. Yep, I can feel that snugging up. Now, I helped a buddy of mine build one of these a week or two ago, and it was nice to have the extra set of hands for sure. Okay, so let's loosen this up just a little bit. As you can see, that's pretty wobbly, right? Pretty wobbly. So we're going to want to get our square out here, which I have sitting right here. And we're just going to try and sure this up here. Make sure that we got this snug there. So when we get to the point of building, everything is just perfectly flush. Okay, that's not wobbly anymore. Let's check the other side to make sure that it's level. Yep. And so that's pretty good. Yep, pretty flush. Good. That's what we want, nice and flush. Okay, so let's just snug those up just a little bit more. Again, you don't want to strip them out. Snug is your best friend here. Snug as a bug. Okay. So the next part we go to, let's take a look here. Okay. So we are going to put on the other side here the way it looks. The one with the two holes. So let's go ahead and get that in there. And you want the side with the two holes facing outside, because that is where that's where the power supply mounts. So if your printer is facing towards you, power supply is going to be in the back here. So we want these holes to be facing up in this example. Go ahead and do that. Let me get two more of these screws here. All right. And again, we're going to get these fairly snug, just barely touching. There'll be some wiggle room, and then we'll get the square out to make sure that they're nice and everything's flush on both sides. To ensure the tightness. That's a little. Now we got some of that wiggle room. Let's get our square out here. Make sure we're nice and flush there. Yep, that's looking good. So we'll these dialed in. This guy dialed in here. Let me check this side as well. Nice and flush. Perfect. Good. Excellent. All right. There we go. That all situated. Okay. Now he's kind of talking about that those nuts on the other side that I used to sort of tighten up the bed a bit. So that's all nice and snug. So we don't need to do anything there. Hmm. Don't think I'm gonna have. Okay. So the next part that he's doing is there are two. So these. So this is for the top. So if you have two holes followed by two holes here, you know, two holes, two holes. This is going to be for the top. So that's going to be for our top. That's like at the very end. So we're going to set this piece aside for a while. Excuse me. Now, if you see ones with three holes on either side, so as you can see that there's three holes here and three holes here, this is the piece that we want next. So, and that is going to hold our x-axis. So let's get that. Actually, it's going to hold our y-axis. I'm sorry. X-axis is here. It's going to hold our y-axis. So now, so another tip, these indentations. So if you can see here, these indentations here, those are going to always be facing the back because they're actually going to be, they actually have space for the nuts that are on your gantries. So yeah, keep that in mind when putting this together. Let's see here. Yep, so two more bolts that we'll need there. Question is which bolts? So let's take a look at our actual instructions. Always good to use both just to make sure that you're doing everything correctly. Yep, so we did that part first. We will get to the Z end stop here in just a moment. Huh, this has us putting this has us putting the power supply on already. We'll get there. We're not there yet, I don't think. The big thing is getting the. Okay, so let's take a look here. We're attaching. No, we're not attaching that motor. We are attaching the. I'm sorry, it's not the Y, it's the Z. I don't know my X, Y's, and Z's apparently. That's okay. So apparently this comes with an extra bracket for. Ah, okay. Cool. Yes, it does. Nice. Don't recall seeing that before. For actually getting this piece attached, we need the MX4s. So the MX4s is what we need next. We're going to set this guy out of the way. There's lots of MX4s, I think. Yep, MX4 by 16. Perfect. So this is what we need next. Don't be alarmed if you have some leftover pieces. For all the ones that I've built, There have definitely been some extra. They give you like one extra of like each bolt. I don't know why, but hey, it's kind of like building. It's kind of like building IKEA furniture. It's usually bound to be extras, or not enough. But hopefully there's extras. So put this guy in here. Let's just make sure. Yep. So that's facing towards the back. That'll go there. Getting this lined up sometimes can be a challenge. There we go. Okay, let's see if we can get this. No, we're still not lined up yet. As we can see. Hey, there we go. We found it. Again, for that one, I did not tighten all the way. It's really hard to see here, but you can see I have one that's I just put in. That one's slightly tightened, but not completely tightened in yet. We'll get this one nice and snug, then we'll go snug up the other one. And then we'll just go in here. Come on. There we go. One little bit of a turn there, just to ensure the nice and tight. There we go. Nice and tight. Okay. So now this guy should fit right on here. There we go. Look at that. Fits right on there nice, right? Slides up and down, nice and smooth. Perfect. Okay. But we're not done yet. So there's another piece to put on. We can't put this on until we put this on. So definitely order of operations is important. And actually, before we go too far, remember I said earlier that I was finished with the mods? I was wrong. I definitely want to get this finished first. I think we're just going to pull this whole piece off here and attach it to this bracket, just like stated before. Let's go ahead and do that now. There we go. So we're going to place this whole kit and caboodle. Let's take a look here. Let's get this. Okay. So again, with these parts here, I do like to use the original hardware for the most part. Save the other additional hardware if needed for a later date. Okay, there we go. And remember too, when this comes off, it's going to be attached to this piece here. So remember that nice bracket I printed? It's going to sit right in there. Perfect. So good time to do this part of it. Come on. There we go. One thing that I've noticed that and maybe because I have this a bit more apart now than I've ever had before, is the gear on the stepper motor for the feeder. They give you, yeah. See, I'm not sure. Some odd reason. I feel like that should come off, but I've never been able to really get that off. So let's get our pieces here for our new end to put on. So we got all metal. So here's these metal pieces here. There we go. So that's just going to fit right on there, although not directly on because we're going to have that nice bracket, but definitely way more reliable. Set these extra bags out of the way. And then here's the additional parts and pieces here. I don't think we'll need the spring screws or anything like that. We're going to use a lot of the original pieces for that. We'll just keep all the rest of that in there, but you do need this piece. The size is much larger than the stock. As you can see, if you look at both of these side by side, much bigger. So definitely want to keep those together. Okay, so now let's we'll put that in there later, I think, because there's definitely some extra stuff we're going to have to do with this. So let's go to our bracket and get our motor mounted in there. And we're going to point this toward, we're going to point where our plug-in goes towards the back. It's going to be our best bet there. Now we can work with getting the rest of the screw pieces in here. We need to. Oof. So yeah, there'll definitely be some things to take apart later, I think, but we should be okay. Okay. Ah, okay. Gotta make sure I put all these screws in the right spot. Oh no! Definitely wish I had steadier hands, that's for sure. Again, I'm not tightening these all the way, I'm just getting them flush so I can make adjustments as needed. If there's any parts that I need to make adjustments for. I may have just, yep, I did. Yep, so can't put this on just yet because there is a piece that you have to put on first. And I didn't realize it. Okay, that's fine. Let's get this guy out of here. There we go. Okay. Yeah, but I gotta take this whole thing off. So one piece I do have to put in first, which normally you don't have to do, is the screw in for the spring tensioner. That's got to go in first because there will be no way for you to adjust it with the mods that we're doing. So we're just going to put this all the way in for now. And then we can get our angled head in there to adjust as needed. We can put this on. So, okay. That's good enough for now. Okay, now we can put this guy back on here. We should be able to put most of these back together. Good. Okay. Hoping everybody out there can still hear me. Don't know if my headset died or not. There we go. I can feel that snugging up a little. Oh, good. There we go. It just kind of popped into place. I know some of this is really hard to see on camera, but I think you can manage putting 4 screws into 4 holes without too much issue. Just line them up and get them just slightly snugged up. The last one to do is always the one for the tensioning handle. That's always the last one. Oh, that's challenging. That's for sure. Yep, that's not one to go in there. Okay. Just when you thought you had it figured out, another challenge arises. Oh boy. And you can't even get in there with the angled head. Oh boy. That's That has nothing to do whether this is stock or not. Just saying. The dimensions on this, while this is much more rigid, I don't think that has anything to do with it. I'm going to have to take that part off again. Huh, you know what? I am doing this sort of all wrong. I thought I was putting this flat one in first. That I don't think is the right way to do it. That doesn't give me any flexibility to where I can turn things. Take this one out. I also can't turn things. Find out here in a minute. This definitely has to go up and down, so there's no real other way to do this. So that's the big one. We won't need that one for a while. This right here is definitely going to be our biggest challenge, I think. Minus the issues we had with the hot end. Yeah, I know. My headset keeps yelling at me to recharge it. So while this is in here, how can this move? Oh, can we get in there sideways with it? Is that why this piece needs to come off? And I'm not sure. So they give you this extra gear in here when you're replacing, and I'm not sure if I need to just buy another stepper motor or what, but I've never been able to replace this because this piece is still on here. I'm not quite sure what to do with it. See, I'm not quite sure what to do with that. Now, what I can do is put this in at the same time. I think as long as that bolt is in there, I think this will work. Yes. Okay, good. It just has to be it just has to be put into the hole first. That was the issue. Okay. So the flat one. Third one. There we go. I think we got something here. As far as this is concerned, I just have to do this by hand. Get that spring in there. Oh. Ah. One thing about this that I forgot to mention also, there is another screw that you have to get that goes in to the bottom of this here so that the spring can attach to it. So I'm going to get that now. Yep, okay, so there we go. We'll make sure that that's nice and snug. That doesn't need, this one does not need to move at all. So we'll snug that up in there. Okay, so now line this up. I'm gonna take this guy out too. I almost forgot about that. So many moving pieces. That's a weird in-between size. Why are none of my wrenches fitting into that? That is very interesting. None of these fit. I guess that is a permanent fixture. So we'll have to get the one from the kit. We'll move that out of the way. Make sure that this fits. No. Am I missing a wrench somewhere? I don't think I am. So we actually have a good test. I previously printed a part as a tool holder for all the tools that come with your Ender 3. So let me just make sure I have them all here. Yes, I do have them all. That is so odd that none of my bits fit. Ah, but it fits in here. So interesting. I don't think I've had that happen before. All the builds that I've done. So maybe we can save this. And pull it off of the original part. Yeah. Well, that doesn't fit at all. Wow. That's weird. Huh. Never seen that happen before. So yeah, we need all these parts here. You also need this little lock washer. It's in here. That ensures that things don't loosen up after, if you have vibration or anything like that. Okay. There we go. Also very important with this piece here, definitely don't want to over tighten because this wheel needs to run, needs to move smoothly. Because that's where your filament is guided through. So it's good. Yep, so it's real. Still runs smooth. And I snug that up. Yeah, I think we're in good shape there. Just till it stops. And that still runs smooth. Good. All right. I can finally put the big piece on. The springs. Now this does get a little tricky in here. So let's the spring components in first. Try and Huh, I missed. Oh, and now I dropped my spring. Might help if I move some pieces out of the way here. We can always hand adjust this in or out as needed. Just keep that in mind when you're building this. All right. That's not the right. There we go. Okay. Now we got this going in here. Yeah. Maybe it would have been a better idea to put this whole thing together first before all the upgrades. Oof. It's rough. So just make sure this is... Yeah, making sure this is nice and snug. Not overly tight. Snug. Okay, so now, there we go. When we push on the spring, lets our filament through, but holds it tight enough to grip. Good. Okay. We got it. So now our hot end assembly looks like this. Now this is going to change a little bit later because we got to put our PTFE tubing in here so that it matches. Meanwhile, we are going to put in this other piece. And we can tighten that up with the wrench just a little bit, not too much. Again, hand tighten first. I'm doing this very carefully because I don't have room for the others. So just a little bit. Don't need to overdo it. So just a little bit of a gap there for the tubing, but this will feed much nicer. It's gonna be direct drive straight into the hot end and extrude out through the nozzle. Yes, looking good, looking good. Okay. So now, and I know we're gonna have to probably make some adjustments here. You can always do that. Hopefully. Hmm. This wrench. Is this the same size I needed here? It is. Where did this go? I have two of the same. No. Huh. I am. Ooh. Oh. Hang on. Hmm. Yeah, I don't think that's it. I'll have to come back and figure out. Definitely mixed up my tools a little bit. Whoops. Okay, so that's nice and snug. We got our hot end here. Move some of these parts out of the way. Yeah, we'll be coming back to take these off, I think, but we'll be taking this piece off as a whole instead of, a partial, so that's okay. We definitely just going to get it built for now. This thing is just going to hang out in the wind for a while. All right, let's go back to our video, see what we got here. Okay, so the next thing, we'll get this piece back here. If you notice, you can kind of see through it here a little bit. We're going to feed the belt through. Belt comes in this nice little handy pack. So we'll need that for moving this piece back and forth. So it's a couple of different ways that you can feed it through. If you need to use pliers or something, you can to help just kind of pull carefully. There we go. And this is going to lay, contrary to popular belief, and I've seen this on various places on the internet where they had the belt going over top of the wheels for the x-axis, and that is not correct. The belt actually ingeniously lays right in the track here. So the belt's going to lay in here, and your wheels will go over top. So that'll be perfect. So this works out pretty well. Then the next fun part is actually getting the x-axis on here. So let's get it on there. Oh, ha. So in my previous builds, the x-axis was usually a little loose. This is nice and snug, very snug, and it feels smooth. It's not like it's rough in motion, but definitely snug, which is really what you want when that's going across there. And then next is we are going to, the other thing to check too is make sure that this doesn't move at all from here, that this piece doesn't move, because that will cause your, potentially cause your x-axis to be out of alignment. So, all right, so now we can get the belt strapped on here. All right, so we got one part of the belt on there. We can't really do the other because there's a piece that we have to put on the end. But for now, oof, we got this twisted around a little bit. All the back and forth. Too much. Too much. There we go. Okay. So now we have this piece here and this piece. Perfect, right? So now the next piece that we actually want to do is our z-axis. So let's pull this off and set this off to the side for a minute. Let's get our Z stepper motor installed right in here. Those should be more of the MX4s here, I believe. Perfect. These should just bolt right in. And if you notice, I haven't plugged anything in yet when it comes to the stepper motors or anything like that. I don't think I'm going to plug anything in until the very end. I think that's... Ooh, they not long enough? What? Huh. I need longer ones of the MX4s, apparently. So hang on a second. Let's take a look at our instructions. See which set of screws we need. Ah, here's some longer ones. Yep, these are the ones we need. Okay. Yep, there we go. This is the M5. Still need the bigger. Why do I feel like these are too big? Hang on. I know. Don't say it. Didn't read the instructions. Take a look at where we install that stepper motor here. MX418P. Ah, okay. So these have a flat head to them. So if we can find those in here. Here they are. And of course, comes in a strict pack of 2. So read the manual, folks. It will help you. Get rid of the trash. Still pieces and parts floating around. These are much, okay, that's a much snugger fit. Okay. So, let's get this wrong screw out of here. We'll put that back with its rightful home there. Get the correct ones in here. Okay. One thing to remember too, these parts move, so if something's in your way, you can always move it out of the way. Alright, let's get this guy in here. Now the Z-axis motor does not sit directly on the bottom of the frame. It does hover slightly, so just keep that in mind when you're trying to put these in here. Alright, get that nice and snug. Again, just going to be a hand tighten. Alright, now, one thing I didn't show earlier is the thing that comes in this big black sleeve is actually the Z-axis screw. So, to install that, I'm going to need to loosen up. There's 2 set screws on this motor here. I'm only going to loosen the top one to get the Get that to sit in there. The bottom one actually is what actually holds it to the stepper motor itself. So you definitely want to make sure that that is snug. Okay. And this does come pre-greased, so you really don't want to handle it too much with your bare hands. Once that sort of slides down in there and is snug, you can tighten that screw back up. Okay, nice and tight. That's not going anywhere. So now we can go ahead and install our, our gantry here. Make sure it's nice and lined up. This does take there we go. It does take a bit to get it lined up. You can sort of hand twist it through until all your components. There we go. And now, as you can see, it's pretty smooth. If you feel it starting to get tight, once it gets towards the bottom, then that means that your alignment is off on your Z-axis. So yeah, there shouldn't be any tightness. Oh, I'm at the bottom. All right, so now you can sort of work a little bit more freely because we can have this at whatever height we need, right? We'll bring this up a little bit to get to work on it. Now we can start putting together. Looks like we might have. Oh, we might not be perfectly square here. Well, we'll have to wait until we connect that, I think. Could be just because it's a little extra on the tight side. Everything's just real extra snug on this build. All right. Let's move around here. Don't need that anymore. We'll get that later. Okay. Now, there are a couple of pieces that we need. The belt tensioner. There's our Z-axis end stop. We'll get to that in just a moment. We're looking for. Here it is. Belt tensioner, right here. These are a little bit weird to work with, these T-nuts on here. Kind of want to get them as loose as possible so that way they spin freely inside the track. Otherwise, they may not grip. So, loosen them up just before they kind of fall off. And again, this is facing towards me. This piece here, the pulley, is going to face towards the rear. And we'll get them to snug up just a little bit first. And we are going to make. There we go. Now we will make some adjustments before we tighten that up completely. So we're going to pull the belt in, attach it to our x-axis again. And then what you can do, a couple different ways you can do it, is if you can get another wrench in there to kind of pull this out to make this tight while you adjust the T-nuts, make the belt nice and tight. Hoping I didn't do some of these out of order. I also feel like I'm missing a piece. Okay, this piece. Next. There we go. Yep, and that fits right snug on there. Excuse me. Okay, so what pieces do we need for that? So that is going to screw through in 2 places. Okay, this takes more of the MX4s. Perfect. Just need 2 of those. And yet we'll have to flip this around again. Get these connected. Perfect fit. Okay. Hey, welcome aboard. It's nerd out time. That's for sure. We're getting there. It's been quite the experience along the way. We struggled with the new hot end, which I can't put in yet. We struggled with what didn't we struggle with? We struggled with the upgrades, relocating the X, the extruder to the to make this more of a direct drive system. So yeah, this has definitely been challenging for sure. Okay, and that feels nice and snug, not moving around. All right, there we go. So, okay. Got all of that stuff in place. What else are we missing? Let's take a look at our, double check the video here real quick. This moves back and forth nice and smooth. And having this on here, printing this part and adding this can add some weight, but I don't think we're going to be, this is nice and snug enough that it's not going to droop when it gets to the far side of the x-axis. So that's good news. Yeah, nice and tight. That's not gonna slip or anything like that. No play on the belt. That's good. Okay. So now we do want to get our Z end stop in because, well, That's important so we don't ram it on our first try into the bed. Definitely don't want to do that. So let's go ahead and install that a while. And again, this has those T-nuts, which you'll want to loosen as much as possible before inserting them into the track. Otherwise, they may not tighten appropriately. Oh, that was a good idea. I didn't think of that, using the flat wrench. Where did I put the flat wrench? Whoops. Okay. So good. Get these T-nuts in here. And what's nice is to do the top one first, so you can actually see it rotate. There we go. As it tightens up, and then we'll do the bottom one. And we can safely assume that it does the same. I know you guys can't see this. Again, I need like an overhead microphone camera, something like that. Okay, so that's pretty good in there. Good. Now, let's take a look at one more thing that does get mentioned from time to time in some of the videos that I watch, that there are, you want to make sure that this, oh yeah, this is, how bad is the alignment here? So there is a little bit of twist that I can see from where the X and Y line up. So that might be a problem. So we definitely might need to go back to adjusting these bottom squares. We might get some adjustment when we put the top piece on, but we'll check that out here in a bit. Let's get our power supply on here. Again, the power supply does not sit directly on the track. It does sit up a little higher. And I do know the correct screws for the power supply. They're the only silver screws besides the ones that are used for the LCD screen. So that's an easy one. Note to self, and I think I see why they had you do this in the video, is don't cover up your power supply screws with your gantry or your x-axis. It could be not a fun day. Okay, there we go. Let me double check. This is the Pro. I've built both the Ender 3 and the Pro, so I could be very well mixing things up. Get the power supply. Mix 4x20s. Yep, these are the MX 4x20s. Okay. Whew. Do I have it? Oh, I did this. I have this on backwards. Well, that's a bummer. So, back to the slight drawing board here. Yep, we're going to just carefully lay this on its side and sort of remove this from here and then reinsert it. So, but yeah, one thing I missed, and I'll point it out here in just a second. We'll need our square back to line this up for sure. There we go. I'll pause that for now. Whenever you see, that's not even there really isn't a good rule of thumb for this. You have to go with what makes the most sense. This is just a plain mess up on my part, that's for sure. There we go. Okay, so we'll feed this through. We're just gonna do this. So it's still on the outside, but in this case we have these holes here that have an indentation. That indentation needs to be towards the front because that's where the screws are going. Still want to make sure that they're facing the top though, the outside as stated earlier. Oh boy. Everything what not to do, right? There we go. This works when we're all said and done, I will have called it a successful day. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. Now remember, before I snug these up, I want to get the square out and make sure that this gets better aligned. We did have some weird alignment issues going on between the X and Y axis before, so I definitely want to grab my square here, sure everything up. A little bit of a gap there. Let's take a look here. Hold that together. There we go. I think we got it. And we'll check the other side just to make sure that it's all lined up. Yep, no movement. Good. Good little. Remember. All right. There we go. All right. Put this back up right where it belongs. And let's get our LCD screen. If you notice, the LCD screen comes in the static resistant plastic bag. You always want to probably keep it in there till you're ready to install it, just to prevent any static discharge from happening. And there are just two of these small bolts that will go to that. Put that on there. I know, I missed the power supply. We'll get back to that. I was too frustrated with it to go back to it. I wanted to do something different. Let's see, let's move our. Oh. Maybe I should do the power supply. Just to make sure that it's. There we go. Okay. One thing I did notice. That is going in there a little on the tight side. We'll just have to check that in just a moment. Well, how do I? It's still not on the right way. Hang on, let me take a look at the picture. Ah, I was wrong. They do go on the inside, not the outside. Well, silly me. Maybe I should have just done the mod where the power supply sits at the bottom in the back. But I don't like that because I feel like it can hinder some ventilation from the power supply itself. You want definitely want plenty of ventilation for your power supply. You don't want that overheating and starting a fire. That's a bad day for a lot of people. Let's loosen this back up again. We'll need our square again once I get this put in. Okay. There we go. Get all those out. Good. So now, I'm just going to flip these so they're on the inside. Make sure they line up on there. There we go. Let's try this. The third time's always the charm, right? That's what they say. All right, here we go. Get that in there. Right in. There we go. All right. Okay, before we tighten, we'll grab our square, line it up. Make sure there's no gaps, just like before. Okay. Let's just check the other side here quick. No gaps and no movement. Good. Just making sure that everything is nice and snug. So we don't want it rattling apart as it's printing. All right. Once over. All right. Let's try this power supply again. Probably not the most logical way to put this together, but we made it through mostly. We're almost there. Again, I am waiting for a part, so that's probably won't get to really see this thing fire up, but we'll at least get to see sort of the finished product. I'll go a once over on it. There we go, nice and snug. Okay. Now, LCD screen. Let's get this guy on here. That's going to be a little difficult to see just because I have now all this stuff blocking me. So, but we are going to install the LCD screen on here. It does take these little sort of silver screws here that I mentioned earlier. And it's pretty simple. You just line it up and away you go. There are so many modifications that you can do with these printers. There's touch screens available. There's various different firmwares that you can get for it. Just tons of stuff. You know, the direct drive upgrade I did here today, which there's still a little bit we need to do with that. So if you've hung around this long, thank you. If not, I apologize if I bored you to tears. This gets to be a little. Slicka. There we go. I always like trying to get my LCD to be pretty leveled up. Doesn't affect the printing or anything, but it just overall aesthetic makes it look nice. Give that a nice quarter turn snug tug there. There we go. All right. This looks like a 3D printer, pretty much. I'm going to plug in this cable. Oddly, you would think because this is the first cable that you plug in, that it goes into slot 1 on the LCD. That is incorrect. It goes into slot 3. So just so anybody who's building one of these is aware of that. Whoops. And I forgot I did not put the top piece on yet. So, oof. Let me be careful there. Oh, I kind of forgot about that. My bad. Power supply had me so flustered. Alright, so it's going to go into slot 3. Use the farthest one. I'm going to have to look underneath, but I do want to get the top piece put on here first before we get too much farther ahead of ourselves. So we do have this piece here. It goes right on top. And that is going to take these M5 by 25 screws. So there is only one way. Again, if you ever see these little indentations here, that means that you're gonna want that facing out in some capacity because that's where the head of the bolt fits. And these do have lock washers on them. The thing is, does this look like a 3D printer? You're getting there, right? Definitely some pieces that look. Okay, yeah, we'll tighten that up then. we go. Okay. Snug these up here. Okay. So one thing I want to take a look at here just to see how we're lined up. I think we're pretty. Oh yeah, that straightened us out pretty good. Okay. Now, what to do next, right? Do some extra bolts left over. Don't need those just yet. Extra T-nuts. Those can come in handy sometimes. Okay. Now, as you can see, we have the good old-fashioned PTFE tubing here. We are going to go back to working on this piece here. The reason for that is because I did pre-cut, according to a guide that I was working with online, this PTFE tubing here to do the direct drive. So at least we'll have, we'll be able to get some filament feed through on that. So that's going to be my next thing here. Unfortunately, well, let's see what we can figure out here. We definitely need to hold these screws again. I think bad decisions were made today. Okay, let's flip this around. Try working on it that way. Oh. You kind of forget that this moves sometimes. So, that's great. We'll get it. Remember, these aren't tight, so it should be pretty easy to just loosen up. Off of here. Okay. So it's great when they move. Also, it sucks when they move. There we go. That'll work. It's kind of the hard way, but it gets the job done, right? Almost to the point where I should be able to do it by hand. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Whew. That was tough. Oh no. Okay. That's fine. That's just going to hang down there like that. We have our PTFE tubing. We just want to push that till basically it just bottoms. So, whoops. Remember too when you pull it out. Yeah. So that should just bottom right like that. Bottom out. We may need to trim this down a little bit, I think. Holy cow. So there's definitely quite a bit to trim off here. We'll trim that off for now. There we go. All right, let's try this again. Can't get this bolt out of here, can I? Ah, bugger. Whoops. Well, let's see what we got here. Put this back on here again. Oh. That just might be the right amount. Whew. Hopefully. Bottoms out, which is what you want. But I feel like this is going to be problematic. Yeah, nope. Too much bendy. Too much bending. All right. Well, I guess we're taking this off again. We're going to leave this hanging, though, because I don't want to deal with taking the belts. Messing with the belts anymore. Well, not a bugger. This has been an interesting adventure for sure. careful with that. Don't want any of the wires or anything to rip. Okay. So got that piece off. Now we just have to get the pull the hot end off here carefully, because remember we still have all the wires attached to it. This was actually a much more difficult upgrade to go direct drive than I thought it would be. And that could just very well be because I don't have the right materials. But yeah, I definitely want to get this part figured out first. So I'm going to put just one back on for now, just so I can get the tubing right. Excuse me. Okay. Nope, so not quite right yet because it doesn't align. I cut off just a hair more. And that's how we're gonna do this. We're just gonna keep going until we get just the right amount. It's a lot of trial and error here a little bit. The guide that I was looking at on All3DP said to start with about 10 centimeters, which is good. I've already cut off almost half that. So we'll see how it goes. Let's see here. Ooh, that was not a flush cut. You always want to make sure your cuts are flush too. If they're not, you may have issues with filament leaking out. Okay, whew, that was rough there. Okay, let's see what we got here. This goes in, bottom out, bottom. Hey, I think we got it. So the other way to test is kind of put it in backwards, right? Perfect. Oh, is that pulling? Nope. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Awesome. Okay, so now we can get that bolt in there. So the hot end will come off, but it'll be held on by the tubing now. You just kind of slide this bolt in there. Oh, what a pain in the backside that is. Oof. There we go. Whew. All right. That was the hard part, honestly. All right. All right, let's get this tightened back up. Really wish I could have put that other hot end on. We'll get to do that another time, maybe even later today. Like I said, I have to print a new fan, a new shroud or fan housing for this in order to get this to work correctly. So, oops, so let's tighten this up a little bit. Snug. Nice and snug. Let's get this fan housing back on here. So I knew it was floating around here somewhere. That wasn't supposed to happen, though, was it? Let's try it again. Definitely a challenge doing this without being able to lay it down, that's for sure. Let's try this one more time. So you can get the right type of grip on here. There we go. There we go. Woo! We'll come back and get the bed level probe in a minute. Let me get this first. Get these wheels on here first. Okay. So this wheel on there. There we go. Okay, so we got the wheels set. Okay. Let's get, let's hold this, get it tightened up. This has definitely become quite the project for today, for sure. Notice the one thing I haven't done yet is I haven't plugged any of the axis wires in yet, because we're not quite there yet. As you can see, all the additional things that we're doing sort of require some all right, let's see. have that other side done yet, so. Oh man. Oh, don't move. Nope, not yet. Hang on a second. You know what? I just might have the thing. Be right back. I've got tons of toolkits. Maybe I have something that will reach in there. Give myself something that has a little bit more leverage. Let's see what we got here. This one. That's what I'm trying to use. Okay. Hex. It fits. Okay. Let's see what we get here with it. Hmm. There's a little more torque behind it. Maybe. Find grip in there a little better. Okay, that might work a little better. There we go. Whoops. Whoops, if you actually hold the nut though in place. Come on. You almost got it. Nope, that still moves too much. It's still not tight. Whew. Oh man. Holy smokes. Ouch. Oh my goodness. Okay. Whew. My hands are getting sweaty now. There. Okay. We should be hopefully good to move back and forth there. You know this moves up and down. Okay, excuse me. We have, I think we're coming down to the wire. I know I thought that a while ago, but you have these little nice end cap pieces to put on so you don't have the exposed silver metal. Put this on here. Nice. Slide in there real snug. And then nifty little toolbox thing I can just slip on there. Actually, I feel like this does better. I should be able to put it over here. Yeah, it shouldn't hit anything. Get all of our proper tools in here. That hangs very nicely on there. A wrench goes in there just fine. Perfect. Look at that. All right. So we have our direct drive set up. Got our clicky knobs set up. Now, this guy here, I don't feel like he's on. Okay. Definitely gonna have to do some bed some bed leveling. Okay, let's get all of our axes plugged in. Oh, almost forgot to put the bed level probe back on. That's a bad day. Let's get this guy put back in here where he belongs. Okay, there we go. So that's on there pretty good. It's going to be a very low Z offset, which is good. That'll be good. So, but we should get to probe. But first off, still want to plug in your Z-axis end stop, or else you're going to have a crash. So maybe we can fire this up before we call it quits here. Probably not. We're definitely going to be missing some stuff. Yep, one of my wheels just came off. That's unfortunate. So, but the good news is we got pretty much down to the end. Maybe I will do a short stream of the actual printing as it, first print once I get it all dialed in and everything. We'll go from there. But for now, I think we're going to say thanks to everyone who joined in, commented. Like I said, feel free to support the other creators I referenced regarding how I did this build. I kind of took what they provided information-wise, put my own little bit of spin on it. and just kind of use them as just a reference. But they produce some excellent content, so feel free to give a thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe if you want to see more. There might be more coming in the near future, but we'll talk to you again sometime soon. Take care, all.